I'm Helen Rowland. I'm the Chief Executive of Focus Academy Trust, which is a primary multi-academy trust established in 2012. We have 15 primary academies in the northwest of England, ranging from 1 form entry up to 3 form entry, and the 15th joined in February of 2017. We had quite a well-established school improvement model, but we were concerned that as we grew to size from 5 or 6 academies that may weaken, and there was a potential for people not to buy in as much. So it was quite timely. I went to the Visual Learning Conference in London in January 2016 and heard some research that John Hattie had done about the impact that teacher collective efficacy can have. That it has a far greater impact than effective feedback and metacognition. And I came back and discussed that with our principals about the impact that collective efficacy can have in your own schools and what they could do to ensure that was their philosophy. And we discussed what that could mean across our trust, because as we grew, each time a new academy joined our trust, I wanted the school improvement to strengthen rather than weaken. And it's what could we do to ensure that happened. We didn't want it all to be centre-led. We wanted the principals to take responsibility and ownership of that and realise that they all had a vested interest in every academy being successful. So we talk a lot about, the trust is only as strong as our weakest academy, and that's, we've got different weaknesses and different strengths, but we want everybody to be as strong as possible. So during the few months after we'd had that initial conversation, people were thinking about it and reading their own research and trying things out in their own school, the philosophy gradually changed. We had a school that was in challenging circumstances, and across the trust we realised we all needed to do as much as possible to support this school. And one real sort of factor in improving this was having a residential conference where we had an external facilitator to work with us on what could we do to strengthen the whole trust and be a high performing team which could evidence collective efficacy. So we all talked about what we could contribute to the greater good of the trust, and the philosophy very much now is that the more you put in to the trust, the more you will get back. And each time we've discussed different schools joining our trust, we say that is our philosophy. And they can only join if they're willing to share their strengths, share their areas of improvement that other schools can support them with, and that genuinely is the philosophy now. So over the year we had lots of examples where one school realised they could support another school by giving their assistant principal to enable them to be the deputy in that school, and that's had such a transformational effect on that school that was in challenging circumstances. So over the year there were lots of different examples, and in the summer we presented certificates to certain schools and leadership teams that had demonstrated collective efficacy, and that's really sent a ripple effect around the trust. What different people are doing, because people made individual pledges last year. So this year we had a conference last week and we've unpicked again what does collective efficacy really mean, and how can we evidence it, and we've agreed that it is a shared commitment to working together to improve the things that matter, working together on the things that matter to improve outcomes for all. And it's how are we going to do that? And first of all, I had a very powerful conversation what actually matters in Focus Trust, what are the issues that we're facing, because 15 academies have got their own individual issues, but collectively across the trust, what do those issues look like? And then what can different people do to improve those, ultimately to ensure that our children have a great education and achieve great outcomes. Well, in the summer, some of our principals talked about the power of collective efficacy and actually wanting to feel more accountable to the wider trust. So we discussed what that could look like. And this September I did every principal's appraisal, and we've discussed what they could do to evidence collective efficacy across the trust. So it's now a 4th appraisal objective for the principals. So we discussed what the trust priorities were, we did that in the summer, and then each individual principal thought about what they could contribute to actually ensure that those priorities were addressed during the year. And obviously we'll review that as the year goes on. So they've all thought about a collective collective efficacy offer that they're putting out to the whole trust, and they've got to gather evidence of the impact that they've had from whether it's principals, practitioners, trustees, whoever, depending on what their efficacy objective is. And we hope that's actually, I can already see that there's tangible difference. They know they're having an impact across the trust, which is excellent. But it's something we need to keep revisiting. So we've got another development day where we're going to talk about what does it actually look like, and are we working on the things that matter, and constantly come back and evaluate that with tangible evidence, really.